But honestly, when you see that I'm a small guy from Switzerland, that I have nothing to do with the Mediterranean Sea, I'm invited by the French government to be at this UN Ocean Conference where all the head of states of 100 plus countries are there. And I'm speaking to those guys and I'm like, why me? Because I am the only one that is willingly trying to understand what's their side, what's the side of the corporate world, what's the side of also us as the population. We say, trust yourself and the process. I started swimming at the age of 8. I was last. And when I say I was last, I was last. My parents were looking from the bottom of the ranking to find me. And the race was rough as hell. It was 16 degrees Celsius. There were big waves and people, we were 10 at the start. We were 2 to finish the race.
Damn.
So it's not about being the fastest or the most endurant, but just crossing the finish line somehow on a specific day could mean you're the first and you're the best. And I will never be the best on anything. But what I know is that I can endure more things that average people, if we want to call them this way, even athletes cannot endure. And that's in your head.
Welcome to Abnormal, the podcast for normal people who want to do abnormal things. Today's guest is someone who doesn't just swim with purpose, he swims for change. Noam Yaron is a Swiss endurance athlete, former national swimming champion, and the bold mind behind the Calvi to Monaco project, a 180-kilometre record-breaking open water swim designed not just to test the limits of human potential, but to drive real environmental action. Noam, welcome to Abnormal. How are you doing?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great. Just got out from the water, so that's explaining the cap and wet hair and everything.
Are you in deep training mode at the moment?
I would say yes. It's been a tough year since I had the opportunity to do more sea swims this year, because coming from Switzerland, obviously you don't have the sea or the ocean, you just have lakes, which is quite good as well. But it was, quite a year. And we did, I think, at least 3 to 4 big training camps at sea with the official boats and stuff and the team. So it has been very challenging to rest and eat properly and answer all the media interviews and create as many, I would say, meaningful posts on socials as possible to get, I would say, eyeballs on the cause that we are trying to convey, which is water preservation and biodiversity protection in the Mediterranean Sea, which is one of the most polluted seas in the world. So we're working hard.
Yeah, I mean, your social media is something to behold. It's got some damn good content on there every single day, it seems. So if it's you managing that or your team, tell them they're doing a good job.
Yeah,
But no,
we are. It's a team effort, of course. We are approximately 10 people now working on the project. So that goes from organizing and getting all the authorizations and stuff, from getting the boat, the sponsors, the partners, the trainings in the water, but also outside the water, the mental coach. And I would say the bigger picture with all the people involved, we are about 30 people. So it's a lot of people on 2 boats that will be also on the shore managing the arrival and the start. So it's a huge project. It's the biggest one I have put together so far. So the social media aspect is I would say the biggest priority in terms of getting awareness to the right people. Not only, I would say, the general public, but also the private sector with the corporate world, etc., that has a huge impact on the environment, and also the politics. We were present at the UN Ocean Conference in Nice a couple of weeks ago. We had the chance to get the stage and talk about important things and how sport can be a vector of change. And we got a great result out of it, and we call out Macron, which is the president of France, which is not doing a great job, I would say, to preserve his marine areas in France, which is the second largest country in terms of marine sector under its governance. So it has to show, I would say, the right thing to do. And it's behind the United States. They weren't there, so that also give, I would say, some indications about how the world is going right now in terms of the environment.
You think they weren't there because it's not a priority for them?
It's definitely not, at least under Trump's jurisdiction. But we will see how it evolves, because truly what we are trying to do with this Calvi Monaco swim, you said it, it's the world's longest swim in a wetsuit in not only in open water, meaning I'm not doing a tour of islands, for example. It's the open sea, the open ocean. It's considered to be a current free, I would say neutral at least, which is not the case for different swims, for example, in the Atlantic with the Gulf Stream, or swims in rivers that happened in the past. So it's also quite complex to I would say, to explain and to contextualize. But it's what interests media, and on socials, we have a lot of people becoming crazy about this swim. I said it, it's the second attempt this year. We did the first one in August last year, in 2024. I unfortunately had to go out of the water after 103 kilometers and 48 hours of nonstop swimming, so staying in the water the entire time. It was pure madness. Haven't done something that crazy in my life before. And it was so calming and scary at the same time. The feeling was insane. We had the chance to see, I would say, about 20 whales. I've never seen
Oh
one
my
in my
gosh.
life.
What type
So
of whales?
it was a fin whale, which is the second biggest whale in the world, about 27 meters long.
Oh my god.
So yes, it's half an Olympic pool swimming next to you, with big, bold eyes looking at you. And we had rays, mobula rays, but also other very threatened species that we had the chance to see while I was swimming. So it was insane. A lot of dolphins too. And I truly felt that nature and those animals were aware why I was there. And I felt very at peace, even if, once again, there is potential, I would say, threats for me in the water.
Mm.
For example, sharks. We have great white sharks in the Mediterranean Sea. It's quite rare. No real attacks has been recorded for years now.
What do you
Uh,
mean real attacks? What about non-real attacks?
there are some places in the world, for example, in Israel, where I think it had one attack a couple of months ago in May, but it was kind of, I would say, that was not predictable, but it's a place where there were a lot of sharks on a specific beach, and people were trying to touch them and play
Right.
with bait or whatsoever. So
Human error.
I would say human error. It's not easy to say. Once again, I wasn't there, but it's a place that is known to have sharks,
Right.
and people are not following the rules and getting too close and trying to, yeah, get them angry or whatsoever, and the result is the result. So
Yeah.
I'm very careful. We have also something very specific that nobody talks about. It's a shark deterrent. So it's a bracelet that I'm wearing on my wrist, and it gets, I would say, a quite powerful electromagnetic field that is repulsive for sharks. So it's like you're blinding the shark with the light,
Wow.
since sharks are using electromagnetic field um, to see
Detect where
themselves in
you
the
are.
water. Exactly. I've seen only one so far.
You've seen a shark.
Yes, it was 2 weeks ago, the last training in Toulon, and it was human error. or as well. We had the team eating some fish, and some rest of this meal was thrown in the water because everything on the boat, obviously, when you
Yeah.
rinse your plate, gets in the water. And I saw some, like I smelled the fish at first, and I was like, that's weird, because at sea you there is no scent at all. You just have the salt. Suddenly, while I was swimming, I was like, okay, I think there is something weird, like a fishy smell in the water. Suddenly, a lot of fishes came to eat those little particles that were dropped by the plate that was rinsed on the boat. And then I saw, I would say, a 1.5 meter shark coming down below me to eat some fish as well. And weirdly, it wasn't scary at all. Felt I could feel that he wasn't there to attack me or whatsoever, even if he was attracted by food. So
Mm.
quite, I would say,
And
dedicated to get
it
his
wasn't
food.
a great white.
No, 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 no.
Okay.
It's called a skin blue in French, peau bleue, but very quite rare as well. There are scientific research that is done every year, and it seems that they're more and more threatened. So it's something quite crazy that we are also trying to convey. It's that sharks are should not be feared by men, but it's the opposite. We are destroying them by fishing, by creating CO2 emissions, and getting the sea, the ocean, getting warmer and warmer. And that's what is the most threatening thing. So we should not be afraid of sharks, even if they are apex predators, and we should not play with them. But I think we can definitely live with them. And I feel it is swimming in the middle of the sea day and night, knowing that they are underneath maybe somehow.
That's crazy. Probably what you're doing is probably 99% of people's worst nightmare. Honestly,
I
like
think it is.
swimming in the open water when you've got sharks beneath you. I can understand how like the dolphins and the whales and the fish are really cool. Even the whales would be really scary. But yeah, it's just like an inherent fear that I think a lot of people have. Now, just to be clear, I know I said it in the intro, but what you are training for at the moment, it is a 180-kilometer open water swim, looking to break a world record, right? That's what you mentioned earlier.
Exactly, yes.
So tell us in your words what exactly is entailed in this whole challenge. How many days? How many nights? Everything around it. That's what I want to know.
So we are expecting, so obviously we will be starting from the beginning. Yes. We will be in Calvi in Corsica, the start of the swim on August 9th. So starting at this date, we will be waiting for the weather window. So
So
the weather
almost a
window,
month, almost exactly a month from today.
it is, yes. So no pressure, but that's how it is. No, but honestly, I feel ready, and I feel eager to start. That's the word. Training for that challenge for 2 years now. Once again, having this first attempt last year. We've learned so much. I don't regret for a moment what we experienced last year. This year, as I was saying, starting on August 9th, we will be in Calvi in Corsica, and then we will be waiting for the weather window. This weather window should include as little waves as possible, as little wind as possible, because once again, wind can create waves on the medium and long run, and also have as non invasive currents as possible, because they are currents, of course, in the Mediterranean Sea. We don't have tides, not big tides at least. So we don't have that, but there is so much going on into the swim. For example, jellyfish, that's one of the most
Oh,
dangerous thing that we can encounter during the swim. Once again, I'm not allowed to get out of the water. We expect the swim to last at least 3 days and 3 nights. Yes.
and you're not allowed to get out of the water once.
I'm not allowed to get out of the water. So you eat in the water, you sleep in the water if you need to. Like an otter, for example, you go on your back like that, you close your eyes and you do like 7 minutes of power naps. Or we also developed something quite crazy, and the internet was getting crazy about. It's sleeping, it's sleeping while swimming.
I saw
So
this. I saw this,
it
but I want you to explain it.
it's something quite crazy that I discovered while doing this first attempt last year. I was training with a hypnosis therapist to get into the sleeping recovery phase when I was doing those power naps on my back like that. And after, I would say, 24 to 30 hours into those 48 hours of the last year's attempt, I was feeling that it wasn't enough, those power naps. And at night, I was feeling myself closing my eyes for one, two strokes, 10 strokes, 100 strokes, and feeling that I was quite going forward still, sleeping, like closing my eyes and still moving forward. So I was like, okay. And the first thing you experience, for me, it was after 24 hours last year, you experience huge hallucinations. So you see things that doesn't exist. Your reality is completely, I would say, distorted. It's very, very crazy. I
Give
saw
us an
Jack
example of a hallucination you had.
I saw Jack Sparrow on the boat. All the colors for me were kind of textured, like a Van Gogh
Wow.
painting. At night, I couldn't see the stars. They were too far from me. Like the light was so little that my brain couldn't function and see and distinguish the small lights. So for my brain, the the sky that was covered in stars was pitch black. I couldn't see anything. So it's
Scary.
crazy to see how your brain reacts to lack of sleep. So you know that the first, I would say, side effects of lacking of sleep is definitely hallucinations. And while I was doing those sleep while swimming phases, I was losing those hallucinations for 1 hour, for 2 hours, for 6 hours. And we discovered that we could truly call it sleep recovery, at least active recovery
Mm.
for the brain, which is quite insane. There is nothing, no literature to my knowledge on that. So it's quite crazy to prove with something that big that the human brain is capable of doing that. And obviously, we have some army soldiers that can sleep standing. That's something that is quite common, but on the move, it's quite crazy to witness that. And that's something that I will use, obviously, for the swim, especially if it goes further than 3 days and three
Mm.
nights, which is possible. So we are looking for, at I would say, the medium weather window should be 4 days, 4 nights. So we are sure that we can achieve the swim within this time frame. But it could be up to 5 days and 5 nights. That would be
Jeez.
very long, very difficult, and I'm not sure. I would say the human body can endure even with those techniques of sleep while swimming or sleeping on your back. I think it will be complicated. And this record is so complex. Once again, for the jellyfish, we were talking about that. We need a full moon phase because the jellyfish is interested in plankton, and plankton is photosensitive. So when there is light, it goes down. So, and the
Right.
jellyfish goes down as well. So at night, last year, we were like, it was between midnight and 2 a.m. It's between the pitch black period, so sunset and pitch black, and the moonrise. You have millions of jellyfish coming from the depth of the sea, coming at you, and you have to obviously protect yourself because it's very dangerous. It's not very, I would say, it hurts, of course, but you can have like an anaphylactic attack if you
Mm.
have too much venom of those jellyfish. But what is crazy is that yeah, I got bitten a couple of times in training and also during the swims last year attempt, and now I'm getting less and less sensitive of the venom of the jellyfish. So
Right.
that's
So
also a
your
very
body's getting used to it.
exactly. So that's
That's
interesting.
crazy.
And we build this year, just so you know, it's how far and crazy the team is. We build a jellyfish net. So on the front of the boat, you have like a V-shaped net that just protect me from the jellyfish that
Yeah.
all the jellyfish are going on the side
Oh,
of the
that's
thing.
so good. If I was in your position, that would give me a lot of peace of mind having a jellyfish net.
Yeah. So, but you never know. If you have currents from the side,
Yeah.
it will come from the side. So we are ready to tackle whatever comes at me, but I should be fine on the jellyfish level
That's
this year.
insane. So it's so much to think about, so many layers, especially when you're. I mean, I imagine you've got to prepare like you're going to be in the water for at least 3 days and likely four. Um,
Yes.
and so going back to the sleeping thing, then is it like what's your mind like in those states? Are you conscious? Are you aware? Are you aware that you're resting in those states, or are you somewhere else and your body's just going on autopilot?
Yeah, it's very interesting. So it's quite complex, but it's something that we can relate to animals. So I will quickly explain. So when I do those sleep while swimming phases, there is a part of my brain that is shutting down, like a dolphin. Dolphins are known to be always on the move and having a part of their brain that is shut down, recovering, while another one is staying aware of what's happening around and being like responsible to wake you up if something goes wrong. In my case, I can only do those sleep while swimming phases at night because I have a swimming line, the same that you have on the swimming pool, that we carry behind the boat so I can swim next to it and not having to look ahead like you do in triathlons or
Just
other.
follow the line.
Exactly, like in the swimming pool. And I have light next to it at night. So when I close my eyes, and you can do this too now, if you close your eyes, you will see, even with your eyes closed, where is the light. You can see where it is. It's
Mm-hmm.
on your right. It should be.
Mm,
So when
I'm
you have
getting
your
that.
when you have your eyes closed and you're very focused on yourself, you start feeling when this light dims up or down. If it dims up, it means that I'm getting closer to the light, which means that I will strike the light if I go too close. So my body just automatically goes the other way. And if it goes too dark, it means that I'm getting lost in the
Too
darkness
far
of
away.
the
Too far
Mediterranean.
away. Go
Exactly.
towards the light. Go towards the
So
light.
you do those quite a like right and left
Yeah.
adjustment like you do in every sport. I lose approximately between 10 to 20% efficiency while I'm sleeping, those sleep while swimming phases. But it's quite, I would say, interesting to be able to do that. And since the body temperatures goes down at night, even if the Mediterranean Sea is almost 30 degrees, the water
Wow.
temperature Celsius, it could be very, very cold at night, and your body, between I think it's 2 a.m. and 6 a.m., it's the time that the body is recovering, so it lowers every spending of energy. So
Mm.
usually it doesn't need to be hot, but since you are in the water, it needs to be. But it's complicated for your body to get that temperature up again. And if you stop, you're cold. So the less breaks you're doing, the better your swim will be, and the better you will be experiencing those night hours while swimming.
So it's really nonstop. It's nonstop.
Yeah, it's not nonstop. I'm once again not allowed to get out of the water, but I do usually a break between 5 and 10 minutes every 1 hour. That's
Okay.
I would say,
And
the cycle.
is that you kind of just like wallowing in the water, getting some food on board, getting some liquids on?
Exactly. So I'm taking a buoy, like a bar buoy, where
Hmm.
there are all my nutrients and food and drinks, and I'm like that on my back with those little things that I'm taking from this little pool that
And
is
how
close.
calculated are you having to be with your nutrition? Because I've obviously with endurance athletes, and you're extreme even for endurance athletes, but the number of grams of carbs that you need for the energy, sugars, lost fluids, electrolytes. How calculated are you being throughout this whole thing with your
Not at all.
nutrition side of things? Not
Not
at
at
all.
all. Not at all.
Why is that?
It might be counterintuitive, but I'm so connected to my body and what it needs that having a specific amount of food that you should ingest in order to keep going, I think it's something that will stress me more than gets me peace of mind
Interesting.
to understand that I'm into the rhythm to stay at, I would say, at levels with
So you want less and less, fewer things to think about.
exactly. Obviously, my team is calculating how much I'm drinking, how much I'm eating,
Okay.
but I'm not like I have to eat everything that is on this plate, on
Mm.
this boy, otherwise I couldn't continue. I gained 10 kilos since last year, which is quite a lot for me.
That is substantial for
It
anyone.
is,
But how
and
important is that for this type of challenge?
it's quite important, one, for the temperature. So the more fat you have, the better you will feel when it get colder. And secondly, for the energy, because your body can be trained to take the fat and use it as fuel and energy. Not every human being can do that. You have to train your body to take those type of energies and transform it into something that you can use. And obviously, if suddenly I have 1 or 2 hours or more that I can't eat, I can't drink, I can use those, I would say, reserves of fat to get forward. And one thing that is very interesting is the salt. We didn't discuss about that. Salt is very, very difficult to manage in your mouth. For example, your cells within your mouth and your nose, for example, in your throat, are very sensitive to salt. The salt will disintegrate all the cells, and once it's disintegrated completely, it will explode and it will blow up, kind of. So it will be more and more difficult to talk at the end of a swim in the sea, for example, 10 hours. I'm having trouble like saying words very specifically
Just because your
because
mouth is blowing up and
it's
dissolving.
completely swollen. That's the word. Yeah, swollen
Oh,
in every way. So you have to be very careful about that. If you are drinking seawater, it could lead to not only throwing up, which is not very nice, but it could also get your throat swollen and you cannot drink, eat, or breathe anymore. So every single details, it's like Formula One, but for 5 days and 5 nights. So every detail count, and the salt thing is very, very difficult. For pooping in the water, because let's talk about that,
that
since
was
I'm
one of
not
the questions.
obviously, everyone want to know. So peeing is quite easy. You can pee in your wetsuit. It warms you up. You use your body temperature, liquid coming from there, and giving you kind of a hot shot for a few seconds. That can help, especially during the breaks, to keep your body warm between two swims sessions. And for pooping in the water, we were interested to see if it's possible to design a poop flap. So a small opening in the back of the wetsuit that you can just zip up and kind of be in the water like that and poop in the water. But it's very complex to create since wetsuits are kind of made of different pieces of things and you cannot build one on top of something that is already created. We should co-create this prototype, let's say, within a wetsuit that is not created already. So it has to go through a very long process. And unfortunately, even with great partners, we couldn't make it happen this year. But you have to take off your wetsuit, which seems not very practical, but in the water, everything is easier. It's not this kind of very
Yeah,
sticky
yeah.
feeling that you can experience on land when you put a wetsuit. So you take off your wetsuit, you put it under your butt, obviously, and you poop in the water. And the very difficult thing is obviously a wetsuit can give you a little bit more of buoyancy, so you
Mm.
are kind of up in the water like that. Those tense, let's say 1 minute that you spend during your pooping session will be very, very important because the wind that comes at you at sea, which is always the case, at least in the Mediterranean Sea, will dry up the water and leave crystals of salt on your
Oh,
body. And that is a pure nightmare. When you put back your wetsuit, it will cut your like your armpits off every single movement.
so you'll start chafing on the salt.
So exactly. So you have to find a way to protect your body that will also, whatever you use will be removed by
Mm.
the different time spent, the water and the salt. But you have to be very careful to apply a protection before the crystals of salt are kind of
Are
staying
formed.
on your form on your underarms. So it's so technical, and all of that you can only learn by doing that for days. You cannot like train in the sea for 2 hours and like,
Mm.
okay, I tested my wetsuit, it fits me well. You're losing almost, I lost 2 sizes of wetsuit last year during the swim.
Jeez.
And
How much weight did that equate to?
not a lot because you lose a lot of water and
Right, so a lot of it is water weight.
exactly, and fat, which is counterintuitive in
Mm.
your mind, but it's not what, in terms of volume, is the most, I would say, that weights the most. So
Yeah.
it's very, very specific. You lose a lot of weight, a lot of, I would say, centimeters on your neck,
Around your neck.
where your wetsuit should be as
Tight as
close as
possible, yeah.
possible,
So
exactly,
so
because
nothing comes
otherwise
in, right?
you have water coming in and the salt forming and all of that. So every single detail is very, very important. And I've never heard a swimmer talking about that. Obviously, we are kind of the exception trying to achieve this world
Yeah,
record.
yeah.
There is some incredible athletes doing open water things, but they are mostly doing it without a wetsuit, which is how I would say the historical way of doing records in open water swimming are made before. And we advocate for the wetsuit because when you're trying to use sports, more specifically open water swimming, to promote nature positive initiatives, to promote water preservation, biodiversity protection, how can you go in the water for 5 days and 5 nights without ever leaving the water with that thick layer of a
Mm.
sunscreen on your body? It's impossible. So we reached out to the World Open Water Swimming Federation, presented this case saying that wetsuits should be a new category, allowing athletes to perform with more security in terms of the sun, not excessive wear of sunscreen, and also protects your skin from the salt, the sun, and obviously the jellyfish.
Yeah.
So a lot of associations out there were challenging the fact that it was something historical that couldn't be changed. If you're using a wetsuit, it's called an assisted swim, so it's not a record. And I'm like, why not opening a new category? I mean, the sports needs it. And
Needs evolving.
exactly. And last year, we successfully were the first ever swim with a wetsuit that could have been called a record. Obviously, I couldn't go until the end after those 103 out of the 180. But it's so moving to see that you can change the rules, not for you, but to get the sports to be more sustainable and get those new ways of performing and giving choice to the athletes that can now perform in a more sustainable way. And I think that's what 2025 is about,
Yeah.
and this 21st century as well.
I I mean, it also sounds like there's just a whole load of admin behind the scenes for challenges
It
like this,
is.
and
It
and
is.
so the stuff you're mentioning, Noam, all the things that you've learned and the things that you're now preparing for as a team, are these all things that you didn't know before your last attempt of the 180-kilometer swim? Are these all things that you learnt during that record attempt?
I would say yes, but prior to this first Calvi Monaco attempt last year, I did some other swims before. The first one was Lake Geneva,
Mm.
which is the biggest alpine lakes in Europe. It's 80 kilometers. I was also expecting, as my first challenge ever of this magnitude, I was expecting to swim less than 24 hours, and we broke the record. It was held by a Spanish guy before, so we got that record back in Switzerland, where
Good.
I'm from. So I'm quite happy when we broke the record by almost 3 hours, which is
Wow.
insane. And I had no experience back then. And I understood that swimming, and from this first attempt we tried to raise awareness for water preservation of Lake Geneva, which is as polluted in microplastics than the Mediterranean Sea that we are trying now. So all of that is using sports to show the world what they can see with their own eyes, what is below the surface. And we had so many PR and social media outreach with this swim and this record for me, but the goal was to convey those environmental messages, and I'm like, I cannot stop there. So the following year in 2022, did the 5 biggest lakes of Switzerland in 11 days. The total was about 188 kilometers, approximately between 35 to 42 kilometers every lake. So it's a marathon of
Jeez.
swimming every 2 days, with the goal to take all the team with you. The boats are going out of the water, getting from one lake to another. It was crazy, logistically speaking. And I think till this date, so 3 years later, those 11 days in order were the only way to cross those 5 lakes within the time frame of 11 days. So you can see also how chance, nature can
Mm.
be or not on your side. And I broke 2 records, which were the 2 last lakes. So I had like 100 kilometers in my arms within this last 7 days, and we broke those records by 1 hour and 1 hour and a half. And the other three, one was very specific. No one has done it before. And 2 lakes, the lakes of Zurich, which is quite known, and Lake Lugano, which is at the frontier with the Italy and Switzerland. I was the first man to successfully cross this lake, according to the authorities at the time. So it's also so special to be in this lake and be able to break that record one after the other, having the weather going bad, but still maintaining the form, still maintaining the logistics going. And it was a pure pleasure to bring those 5 records home. And then we had obviously a lot of coverage nationally this time, not locally like on Lake Geneva. And then the following year, I said, let's go even bigger. And I would say, quitted a little bit the swimming phase and try the biggest triathlon in the world, crossing my country, Switzerland, from east to west through the Alps. And the goal was to get to the 10 most beautiful alpine lakes of Switzerland and get them analyzed with eDNA. So analyzing the DNA that you find in the water to better understand how this lake is important to the life and the biodiversity on its shores. And doing that, we discovered for the first time jellyfish in Switzerland on an alpine lake. And it proved that you can be a world record holder doing sport at the highest level, but still using that for nature, on raising awareness, of course, but also to participating to collecting data that has never been collected before on a scientific level. So truly sports has the power to change the world in every sense of the way. And I feel like we can truly do that. And at the end of this challenge, which was 7 days with 750 kilometers, 13,000 meters of elevation, which is 3 times climbing the Mont Blanc.
It's insane.
It's completely insane. And I started doing the bike thing 2 months before the challenge, and I crossed obviously the biggest mountains with my bike, and it was the best challenge so far. Obviously, you spend more time out of the water exploring the beautiful Switzerland, and now we are doing this Calvi Monaco swim. I can't wait to tackle this one. It's the first time last year with this first attempt that I would say failed a
Mm.
challenge. That's also something on the mental level that is quite difficult to
How was that
digest.
when when that moment arrived?
I would say not that bad, because when the team told me that the weather is going sideways, that we are losing track of the ideal route to go to Monaco, that if we are going to that pace with that level of more kilometers because of the winds and the currents, we should spend 4 days and 4 nights in the water. And when they told me that, I was like, I'm fine with that. I mean, I'm ready to endure that, but I could see in their eyes that they weren't ready for that. So that's why this year we are communicating on socials, on PR, but also with the team about 5 days and 5 nights, so they can be ready mentally to tackle this challenge, because it's a team effort. You're not on your own in the water, and congrats, Noam, you made it. It's a team effort. Every second that you spend on this boat, every person that is with me on this boat is important and is playing a role to beat that world record that will be under my name, but will be under many, many others, because my team is everything. And you cannot understand that without being with them in the water. They are your eyes, basically. You can't see anything. You in the middle of the sea, I think 75% of the time you can't see land. So you swim so far
Jeez, that's
that you
scary.
can't see land. That's insane. So when you are on your own, there is 3,000 meters of depth of water below you.
Is it just pitch black? Like when you're looking down, is it just pitch black?
Not during the day. During the day, it's beautiful bluish, kind of
Yeah.
transparent water. It's
It is
very,
clear water. It's good
it
visibility.
is, it
Yeah.
is. But at night, it is something else. It's another level. It's scary, but kind of intriguing at the same time. I can't explain how it is. But the fact also that you're leaving from the shore. So obviously I swim from Calvi, so I go down from the beach and I swim. So the fact that you see the land disappearing under
Mm.
your eyes, you are not like thrown in the middle of the sea and like lost, and you're like panicking because you don't know how many kilometers or meters
Yeah.
you have below you. I don't know why, but I feel so at peace in the water, and I thought it could be threatening and scary to be under 3,000 meters of water, especially at night, but it wasn't. It was so peaceful, and I felt so connected to the sea and all those animals that were close to me. Uh, there was no breaks where I like turned my head and I couldn't see an animal. And
Jeez.
people that were very familiar with the Mediterranean Sea told me that it was the most biodiversity they have ever seen, combined in 48 hours of having a boat that is going slow, so not attracting a lot of animals,
Yeah.
me being in the water, so it could scare them. But at the same time, you can see all of those whales coming around and those rays jumping in the water. It's so magnificent to watch.
Does that like make you believe in something else? Does that make you believe in energies and think that something else is going on? Because it sounds what you're describing sounds like a movie. It sounds like a movie script.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's common sense. I mean, we come from the same place. We come from the same. They are way more intelligent than we are, at least way more than we think they are. And we are, it's their home. I mean, they master this place way better than we do. So having that guy, which is me, swimming with a wetsuit that could be like could be seemed like a threat or food even for sharks, and I've never felt, I would say, threatened by nothing. And I was very scared of being close to whatever animal that I've never seen before. And especially in lakes in Switzerland, when you swim in Switzerland, you can't see anything. There is no fish, there is nothing. They go away the second you are in the water. And to see them getting closer, but not too close, like respecting my boundary and my kind
Yeah.
of being not afraid, but kind of skeptical because I'm not knowing. I'm in the unknown, truly.
They must be able to sense your
Yes,
energy and positive energy.
I believe so. And I'm not someone really connected to energies. I'm someone very mathematical, kind of very down to earth, training, being kind of yeah, I would say, but you cannot avoid that feeling. It's truly something magical that I can't wait to experience again. And beside what happens in August during my swim, when you see that you reconnect people with nature, with the sea, with the ocean, it's the greatest record of all. We are reaching up to 20 million people every month.
Yeah,
It's
I've seen
insane.
your socials. It's crazy, and
It's
I think
insane.
you're right. Like, there's the ocean is a special thing. It's something that I don't think, unless you've lived by the ocean or had a good experience with the ocean, you can't really understand it. Like, if you're from a city and you've never really been to the sea, it's very difficult to explain. And I never grew up next to the ocean, but in my second half of my life, I was always near the ocean, and then I learned how to surf, and that experience for me just changed my whole output on where I want to live. I always need to be by the sea. I never want to be in a city or a country that isn't by the sea. I love the feeling I have when I go surfing or whenever I go, snorkeling or scuba diving or whatever. It's just something. Yeah, you're right. You feel so connected, and that's me. Just I'm not even a professional surfer, a professional swimmer. I'm just an average guy, right? But even someone like me have that feeling whenever you're interacting with the ocean and wildlife. So I can only imagine how it feels when you're doing this crazy challenge and you've got this wildlife all around you. It sounds like something out of Moana or Finding Nemo combined, and it
Exactly.
must just be truly magical. And your message of trying to preserve that and open that feeling up to as many people as possible so that they also emotionally attached to wildlife and the ocean. So that once people have that emotional attachment, I'm sure they're more likely to act and change and do something about it.
Exactly. And on another note, people think like we are obviously good at socials and it gets views and raising awareness. That's great. But they avoid what we are doing behind the scene. We have someone in our team that its solely job is to reach out to governments, officials, get those laws that we think should be applied within the Mediterranean or even bigger scale in the ocean. And we are now working with the government of France. We are now working with the government of Monaco. We have the Prince Albert II, which was at the departure of my swim a couple of days before that. He came personally to say how important that was and the message that was carried by this sports challenge. And when you see that you have head of states coming to your things and yeah, replying, reacting to what you're doing, you feel like you're doing something that has a lot of purpose. And my goal is to get as many people as I can involved because I think it's truly a group effort and a group thing. And hopefully, this swim will not only break a record but change the world. That's the true inspiration and objective behind it.
That's amazing. And so, for average people like myself, Noam, and people listening, what can we do? What can we do to support? First of all, support your swim and support your mission. And secondly, what can we do day to day? What habits can we do to, know, connect better with the environment, look after the ocean better? What can the average person do that maybe big corporations can't do? What can I do day to day?
Yeah, there is a lot of things we can do. The first thing I would say on my swim level, it's we created something very interesting, which is called collaborative philanthropy. You always hear about billionaires investing into hunger in Africa or the ocean or nature or something. But those guys are not very interested in what we as human beings, average guys, are doing. So we wanted to create something that is similar, the power of getting together. So we opened a possibility on our website. You can become the co-owner officially of this swim. By supporting the swim starting from $5, you preserve symbolically a cubic meter of my race. And doing that, you participate into getting this swim done, raising awareness among dozens of millions of people. I think we will reach more than 200 million people this year. And it's one of the biggest awareness campaign ever. We are not professionals. It's a sporting event, raising awareness for the environment. So it goes into nothing. I mean, when you pitch that to a corporate for sponsoring or whatever, they're like, is it only for charity? Is it a sporting event? Are you alone swimming? But it's a group effort. We don't understand the vibe. So once again, either you cry on your state and you're like, what can I do? Or you react and you find a way. We're reaching so many people. So why not getting funds from them, getting them involved? So when you're participating and you become an official co-owner by investing $5 or more, all the currencies are available. So we have people from Australia, from Hong Kong, even
Awesome.
Switzerland, the UK, France, Monaco. It's insane to see all of this diversity of people coming together under this project that I created and that is now way more than mine. And when I said that this record is not only mine but others, it will be official. So you will receive, and the World Open Water Swimming Federation agrees to that. It will be obviously a solo swim, but you will be like all people involved will be official co-owners of this world record, which is crazy. Doing that, we collected email addresses, so not to exploit them, but to raise even more awareness. So you will receive every week or so some information about the swim, some things that goes to the organization of the swim if you want to create one yourself. You will hear of ambassadors, sports people, actors, singers, personalities that are joining the Sports for Nature movement that we announce and are sharing the values that we have in common. You will get information about the mission, what's the state of the Mediterranean Sea, what we are advocating for, how we advance this political and diplomatic work with the government of France, and also hopefully Italy, that is also concerned by the region of my swim, and Monaco. And the goal is truly to build a community that will get all the information that you cannot find, or even worse, you get wrong because people are not saying the right things. And we have a lot of people working with us, an advisory board that is built with the most top tier people in the industry when it comes to the ocean, the Mediterranean Sea, conservation, nature. And we have all the latest research, the latest data, and being close to the government as well. We have also their sides, working with the corporate side as well, having sponsors. We can influence them to create better products. For example, we work with Nivea that you're seeing from the start of this video. Nivea is one of the biggest brands in the world when it comes to skincare. It's very affordable, so everyone can buy it, but they are very keen on bringing their product to a next level. For example, their sunscreen, they developed a sunscreen that is 92% biodegradable. So I can wear that sunscreen by only on my face, my hands, and my feet, which is the areas that are like obviously like at the sun.
Most risk, yeah.
Exactly. And the impact is 10 times lower than every human being that is going to the beach getting sunscreen all over your body and running into the water, which is the last thing you should do. So it's a perfect transition. That's the first thing, as I would say, enjoying the sea, because once again, the goal is not to restrict the access to the sea, but being more aware of the impact we have when we're enjoying it or walking on the shore of it. The first thing is sunscreen. There is a lot of sunscreens out there that are very, very bad for corals, for the water and the biodiversity in general. You should not put sunscreen before getting in the water. So when you picture your mom, when you're very
Yeah.
like you're a kid, you want to run into the sea, listen to your instinct. That's what you should do. You
Just
should
go.
go into the water for a couple of minutes, then go back, dry up, and put sunscreen. And if you want to go back into the sea, you should rinse it off before going. Have you ever been into the sea with your sunscreen and seeing all the
Yeah.
shady
Yeah. Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
going around?
That's the toxic stuff, is it?
Exactly. And it's not made for that. Sunscreen is made to protect you from the sun,
So
not to.
all the sunscreen then that says, waterproof or all that sort of stuff, that's kind of like rough marketing, because by saying that, people are going to put it on and then go in the sea or go. Obviously, the swimming pool's
Exactly.
different, but
But
okay.
we should educate people that
Mm.
going into the sea should not be done with sunscreen on. Not putting like sunscreen on your entire body and running to
Yeah.
the sea. That's the worst thing you can do.
Okay,
And
that's number one. Then what's number two?
number two, exactly, the plastics, of course. When you use plastic, even if it's recyclable plastic, obviously this once we create plastic, it's impossible to get rid of it. That's why you see islands of plastics or mountains of plastics on the beach, because once it's created, you cannot eliminate it. You can recycle it, which is great, but it's not enough. Today, the role of I would say, companies and the industry is to create an alternative that could be biodegradable. We are working also within the smoking industry, so cigarettes.
Okay.
It's one of the thing that you find the most, like the most common waste that you can find on the street, at beaches as well. More and more beaches are trying to like avoid having smokers. Like you cannot
Hmm.
smoke on some beaches, which is great, but still so many people that are smoking are throwing away their cigarette butts on the floor. One, the filter is made of plastic. It's very small. So with the wind or heavy rain or whatever, it will end up in the sea, river, lake, and end up in the ocean somehow. Once it's in the water, there are one, the microplastics spreading, and it's almost impossible to collect them back. Secondly, there is what's the filter is made for, so to protect from the toxic chemical of you smoking. And there is 5,000 chemicals within one cigarette butts, and at least 150 are very, very toxic for the environment. So if it's toxic for the environment, there is a good chance it's toxic for you too. So one, maybe the idea is not to smoke. That's a first.
First and foremost.
But if you smoke, it's totally fine. Don't throw your cigarette butts on the floor, and either on the beach or wherever you
Yeah.
feel that it's more practical than getting to a trash or taking it somewhere.
So a common misconception, and I hope you can clear up some stuff on this. Now, a lot of people say when I have this conversation with people, and I'm no angel, by God, I'm no angel. But a lot of people say when talking about recycling and sustainability, they're like, oh well, what I do is pointless. It's negligible because you've got the big corporations doing X, Y, and Z. You've got companies like, I'm not going to name any names in case I get into any trouble, but you've got these giant companies who are producing plastics and waste on such a huge industrial scale. What we do as individuals is it's completely negligible compared to the big kind of corporations. And if they're not changing, then what's the point in me wiping all my sunscreen off before I run into the ocean if these companies aren't changing their policies on plastics and all that sort of stuff?
Very good question. And I will go even further by saying how I can, as a swimmer, as an athlete, collaborate with a brand. Let's say, for example, you have Total Energy, which is a gas, oil, fuel
Yeah.
company. It's one of the most polluting companies in the world. You have two choices. This company can come to me and say, listen, we love what you do. We want to exploit you and use your swim as a greenwashing campaign, whatsoever. You can call it how you want. Here is the amount of money that we are willing to give to you. The question is, first, is this money will arrive from someone else? So if I say no to them, is someone else able to give me that amount of money? The answer will be most probably no. The second question is, this money is already there. The impact, the bad thing, the bad guys are there. They will stay there. And they're willing to give me this money to promote not their company, not what they're doing, but sustainable practices to get to a better tomorrow. So that's fueling my mission. So that's a yes. And second and thirdly, what's very interesting is, have you ever got something out of somebody while screaming at them and disagreeing with them and being angry at them all the way? It doesn't work that way. That's why we're working with the smoking industry. If we get them to change, we need to understand their point of view, how it's done that they are still using plastics. Maybe there is an explanation, a fair explanation that we don't understand. And I had a meeting with them, and a lot of people, I talked about this subject very often because I'm very passionate about it, because funding, when it comes from a place of of the corporate world, which is everywhere, no company is 100% sustainable, following the rules. It's not possible. You're not following the rules either, and I'm not either. Nobody's perfect. But to get there, we need to move together. And to move together, we should agree upon something. So when I say you should not run with your sunscreen, one, you will wear less, so they will produce less. And also, if you choose correctly your sunscreen, the bad sunscreens will disappear, because if nobody buys them, it's done. Plastic is the same. If you use bottles of your favorite soda brand whatsoever, they will continue to do it. So if you, your neighbor, and all the people listening and watching to this show are stopping to consume that and find other alternative that is natural, coming from the farmer close to your house or whatever, that you can go to a side quest and see if you find your favorite brand of beverage that is not made with plastic components. It will not only improve your health, but also improve the health of the environment you're living in. We usually say we need to save the planet, but that's a lie. We need to save ourselves. That's what it is about. It's not about a third party person that is round and floating in the universe that we are trying to save. We are trying to save ourselves. The planet will be there in millions of years. Earth is there for millions of years, and it will stay like that for years. We will disappear.
That's a
So
very good way of looking at things.
So that's my take on that. And I would say working with the government of France could seem completely crazy for people that are not aware. Macron announced that he was not very interested in expanding the protection of his marine areas. He's still allowing industrial fishing like bottom trawling, which is one of the worst things you can do in marine protected areas. So you have marine protected areas in France called marine protected areas where you can allow bottom trawling. So the worst thing, so you can picture like
And this
It's
is where they have giant nets on the bottom of the ocean
exactly,
floor.
yes, yes, that is going viral at the moment with David Attenborough new documentary on Disney Plus, which I recommend. It's crazy. It captures everything. Endangered species, everything. Dolphins, even human beings. It's so big and crazy, and that in French waters, it's allowed in marine protected areas. That's
It's
crazy.
insane.
That's not protected. So when we are approaching NGOs or environmental organizations that are working daily for years to defend that, when I'm saying that I'm willing to partner with them, but I'm talking to the government, they're like, "Are you like friends with them? What's the catch?" I'm like, "No,
The
but you will never
collaboration.
get the chance to talk to those people if you are
Yeah,
only against them. Even if
for
it
sure.
sounds crazy, you should understand what's their take and why they're doing that. Is it lobby? Is it money? Is it both?
Yeah,
What
what's
is
the
it?
incentive? Let's like try and
Exactly.
dig deeper, and then you can come up with a solution together, hopefully. But you're right; it's such a good way of looking at things. You never get anything out of anyone from having a shouting match and being completely against someone. It's
Exactly.
like hear their point of view, that you can hopefully give your point of view, and then you can work together to hopefully have a better future and a better outcome.
Yes, and maybe it's idealistic. I don't know. But at the same
Hey, but
time,
we need idealists. You need
I
people
don't know.
who
But honestly, when you see that I'm a small guy from Switzerland, that I have nothing to do with the Mediterranean Sea. I'm invited by the French government to be at this UN Ocean Conference where all the head of states of 100 plus countries are there. And I'm speaking to those guys, and I'm like, why me? Because I am the only one that is willingly trying to understand what's their side, what's the side of the corporate world, what's the side of also us as the population. It's more and more expensive to eat healthy and without plastics and all of that. We should hear that. It's to be aligned with those environmental goals, it has a cost for everyone, but for people as well. And we forget that. We're like, why you're taking the plane instead of the train? But maybe if you're taking the plane once a year to go see your parents on the other side of the world and you don't have a car and you travel with a bus and a train every day, you're way less, you have way less impact than people that are going to work every day with their car. We should have some grace for people and not focus on one specific thing isolated without getting the full picture. And that's also something that I'm trying to promote. We are not perfectionists. It's not perfect. It will never be. For me, as trying to show example and solutions and not only point out problems, but also be under to understand how like where people comes from and their means to avoid taking the plane instead of the
yeah.
train. I mean, it's so
It's easy to cast judgment.
yeah, exactly. And I'm not a judgmental person on that level, and I try to understand. And there is a whole discussion about private jets, of head of states, of stars coming to one place to another. But you can also think the president of the United States cannot take any other public transportation. So the question you should ask yourself is this travel worth it for the the future of the country or the
Yeah, the
world?
situation. Yeah, for the
Yes.
greater good.
But you have this picture in the newspaper where you see, oh my
Yeah, of
God,
course.
Taylor Swift has done 12 shows in 12 days in 12 different continents. It doesn't even exist, but
But
anyway.
she was also responsible for like boosting the U.S. economy somewhat, and then how much income does that give, or how many new jobs? I don't know. These are all arguments off the top of my head.
Exactly, and how much tax
Yeah,
that
yeah, true.
could be implemented to get more positive impact and lower something else. Having to pollute in terms of CO2 emissions or whatsoever should be taxed and taxed accordingly so we can, on the long run, because it's not something that is very easy to implement, that should be invested in getting this planet restored, regenerated.
Yeah.
That's how we should do that. So you have airplanes flying everywhere without tax of fuel, for example. That's insane. They have taxes for landing and takeoff, but they don't have the tax on the fuel. They are the primary source of the fuel consumption. Why? This is insane. It's so easy to implement. And they will say, okay, so the airplane tickets will the price of airplane tickets will rise. Let it rise and see if there is competition coming on the
Mm.
train, for example. People are not taking the train so easily because it's expensive, because there is a lot of infrastructure, all of the people that are working on the train, but also on the rails and on the stations. It's a lot of people. On the airplane, you're just flying. You have 6 flight attendants, depending on your flights, one Boeing or whatever. And if you do the math, that's how it goes. And that's how healthy competition comes from. And we should be able to see that. And as people that are living life, we should have the choice within our means and be able to choose the most responsible thing to do. And maybe it will be not taking the car every day for someone and taking a plane twice a year. And for somebody else, it could be just using your bike every day and not having a car at all and taking the plane 6 times a year.
Mm.
I don't know. It's there is a balance to strike there, I think.
No, it's been a pleasure, and it's so interesting talking to yourself and people like you who are so clearly passionate about a cause. And I think it's a really rare thing to find in people. Everyone that comes on the podcast, I ask the same question to finish every time. The podcast is called Abnormal. It's for normal people who want to do abnormal things. No, I wouldn't necessarily say you're normal, but you are definitely doing very abnormal things. But the point is that a lot of my listeners, myself included, are quite normal people, and we might have some abnormal things that we want to do in our lives. So what's the one piece of advice that you would give to someone who wants to do something abnormal in their lives?
I would say trust yourself and the process. I started swimming at the age of 8. I was last. And when I say I was last, I was last. My parents were looking from the bottom of the ranking to find me. That's how last I was. My coach at the time said to me, listen, Noam, this sports is not for you. She was right. Based on the data, I was last. I was a bit chubby, so not comfortable in my own skin. So obviously swimming and being in swimsuit all day is not great. Swimming hours and hours a day and not having any result whatsoever is very frustrating. But I believed in myself. I don't know how I did that, honestly, because nothing was in my favor. I'm not tall. I think, well, yeah, 175 centimeters. So I'm the most average guy you can find. You can see me in the street and you're like, oh, nice. And you don't know that I have records on the biggest lakes in Europe. So I would say your podcast has a vision that is very linked to what I experienced. I'm the most normal guy ever. Of course, I train a lot. I have to compensate for that normality, let's say, that other athletes has in their blood. I'm not made to be a swimmer, but I find myself that the more I was swimming in terms of length, the better I was. So I got out of the pool, started open water swimming, and did a 5 kilometer at the nationals, finished fourth. And I was like, here we are. I just wasn't in the right space. People were not valuing me for the right things because they couldn't see it because I wasn't in the right space. And I was like, I will train for one last year and try to have a podium at nationals. My coach was like, it's impossible. You cannot do this. Once again, you're not very good at what you're doing. Anyway, I was training on my own. So not having even a coach for the 2 last months because the open water swimming in Switzerland is like the 2 months of summer and it's the break season for this normal swimming. So the coach was like, I need to go on holidays too. So I was like, okay, go. But if I win, I'm not wearing the colors of my club. And it was like, yeah, go ahead. I was first. I finished first.
It's
And the
amazing.
race was rough as hell. It was 16 degrees Celsius. There were big waves and people, we were I think five or 10 at the start. We were two to finish the race.
Damn.
So it's not about being the fastest or the most endurant, but just crossing the finish line somehow on a specific day could mean you're the first and
Mm.
you're the best. And I will never be the best on anything. But what I know is that I can endure more things that average people, if we want to call them this way, even athletes cannot endure. And that's in your head. It's not within your speed on a 100-meter backstroke or freestyle or race or run or bike. It's in your head. And once you get that and you know that the only value you can get is from yourself, the rest is just bullshit. It's noise that I'm not listening to. And it sounds counterintuitive as well because we live from social media and being
No, but
seen.
you're dead right. You're getting me all hyped up. No, I'm about to go for dinner, and you're getting me all hyped up.
Yeah, hopefully you're not going to sleep now because
No,
that's
I'm
the kind
actually
of
going to go
speed.
for dinner with my French wife's family, and we're going to discuss the marine trawling in France.
Oh,
So that's my
insane.
topic of conversation.
Yeah,
Now that
bottom
you mentioned
trolling.
it,
You can be
bottom
more
trawling.
specific. Bottom trolling.
Yeah,
But no,
yeah.
indeed, thank you so much for having me. You are my first English podcast, as you
And
can
mate,
hear.
well, you're very fluent, and I'm sure. Honestly, it's been epic. It's been so cool. Your message, your positivity, yeah, it's so super humble for someone that's doing something so amazing. And I can't wait to follow along. Obviously, I'm following on socials. It's the 1 month countdown now.
Yes,
And just good luck. Not that you need it from me, but good luck with everything.
I will
It's
need a
super
lot.
inspiring what you're doing.
I will need a lot of luck, courage, and peace of mind. I would
Well,
say that's the
you've got that in abundance. So I'll send you some luck from myself and from the listeners. So thank you again, Noam, for coming on. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Abnormal. If you enjoyed, please consider subscribing to the channel and give us a 5-star review in whatever podcast platform you are listening or watching on right now, as it goes a long way to help growing the show. Thank you, and see you in the next one.